So I just wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about some stuff that people go through with chronic health issues and chronic pain. Um, right now, we're pretty much in a state where a lot of people who suffer with chronic health issues and chronic pain don't get help. Um, they're pushing this whole narrative. I'll do a different video on that, but with pain medicine and there's just this whole narrative, and I'm seeing like why it's happening. Um, but being a patient who suffers from chronic pain, I highly advise advocating for yourself. Yesterday, I ended up going to the ER, and I actually despise going to the ER. I have VEDS, which is vascular Ehlers-Danlos. I have lupus, and I have a brain tumor. Um, so I'm with vascular Ehlers-Danlos. It's a subset of a connective tissue Ehlers-Danlos, and it causes fragility of the veins, and it can cause like aneurysms and organ ruptures. Um, it causes like thin skin and bruising and other issues. I mean, as you can see, I had an IV in, had two IVs in because the the nurse, I told her that my veins look good because I have thin skin, but when you get in there, I didn't really know how to express it with her listening. I was like, "You're probably gonna blow the vein out," and she did, and she put it in my bicep, and it's super painful for me. So the bicep one started bulging up and then bruising instantly, and so like they put like fluids. They were trying to get blood out of it. They couldn't get blood, and it she flushed it, and it still was able to flush. So they just ended up drawing blood on a different spot. So I ended up getting poked 3 times yesterday, and it's painful for me with my connective tissue disease. But the point of this video here is when you go to the hospital and none of the doctors know what Ehlers-Danlos is, we got to start doing something. Like Ehlers-Danlos is a serious genetic condition. It's rare, yes, but I think it's a lot more common than we are actually realizing. I think it's just rarely diagnosed, and I think it's rarely tested for. You can suspect it, and that's what my physical therapist for maybe 10, 11 years ago, they suspected I had it, my neurologist, and we couldn't figure out if it was yes or no. And fast forward to now, last year, my physical therapist like, "You're super hypermobile." I was like, "You seem like you might have Ehlers-Danlos," and I showed him some of the things I can do, like with my thumb. I could touch my tongue to my nose. Other conditions, I mean, other things I could do. And he's like, "Yeah, you need to go and try to get diagnosed for this," which it kind of started making sense. I was like, okay. So I ended up taking it up to my rheumatologist, and he did the testing, the physical testing for it, and said, well, it doesn't really matter if you're diagnosed. And I said, yes, actually it does, because it affects my treatment plan. There's no like, there's no cure for it. So a lot of people think, well, that doesn't, there's no point to test for it. But the thing is, if I'm going into the hospital and I'm having like a subluxation, which with Ehlers-Danlos, you can sublux like, your rib, your neck, anything. And I can have an aneurysm, I can have an organ rupture. So it helps me to to know better of what I'm dealing with, like if I'm having pain in a certain area. Um, where I'm going with this is going into the ER and these doctors don't know. Like when I had my son last November, I was hospitalized in September for some testing, echocardiogram, and all that stuff. And I found out I had a regurgitation of two of my valves in my heart, which is common with EDS. But none of the doctors, when I had my son, it was a scheduled C-section, and I had my son early, maybe a month early because of my health. None of the doctors knew what EDS was. Well, what's that? This stuff causes issues that ends up people being in the hospital. It causes severe pain. It causes subluxations. It causes a lot of other issues. And when you're going in for pain issues and they're like, "Oh, well, it doesn't look like there's anything wrong," and it's actually because of your genetic disease, these doctors, they need to like really figure out like what people in society are dealing with right now. I know there's like a movement where more people are speaking about Ehlers-Danlos, but how is it you go to different hospitals and not one doctor knows what you're talking about? How? Having to educate a doctor on health issues is not something. I mean, I do it because it's my body, it's my health that I'm dealing with, and trying to get answers and trying to figure out a plan of action with the doctors is very important to me. Okay, so if you can't figure out what's going on right now, what do you suggest? What tests do you suggest I speak to my rheumatologist about? What tests do you suggest I speak to my endocrinologist about? What tests do you suggest I speak to my neurologist about? You know, I need to know what my plan of action is once I get out of here so that I can discuss this with my doctor. But it's very important that you know how to talk to them and explain when they don't understand what you're dealing with. Yesterday, I went in, I was having severe breakthrough pain. Normally, I'm at like a 7, 8 daily in pain. And I can function. It's not fun. It's not fun to be in pain every single day. And I would love to think of like what if a zero pain day felt like. Like I haven't had a zero pain day since I was 10 years old. What does that even feel like? And so I went in yesterday. I was at about 9.5. I'm having severe pain in my kidney area, severe pain in my abdomen, bone pain. Like I was hurting so bad. It was just like I was miserable. I've had fatigue and muscle weakness. And so like they did all the testing and of course, some minor like labs came back and those minor issues in my labs were causing severe symptoms in my body. But being able to get that breakthrough pain down to a manageable number so that I can continue on with my life and not be like agonizing pain that's causing me like heart attack or stroke rate blood pressure, it would be nice. And right now when people go to the doctors for things like that, they get told that, oh, you're just drug seeking, you're just looking. No, I'm in pain. And like I know a lot of pain patients, like we go through the day and we pretend like we're not in pain, and then having to go into the doctors and prove that you're hurting to the extent that you're hurting and prove you're not drug seeking and prove you're not just trying to get HIGH on medicine. It's very sad for somebody who deals with chronic health issues. It's very, very sad. And I know so many in the chronic pain community deal with this. So many in the Ehlers-Danlos community deal with this. You know, so what I'm telling you is advocate for yourself. Maybe even like get a piece of paper printed out about your condition, Ehlers-Danlos. This is what happens. It's one of its major symptoms is severe pain. So the fact that none doctors don't treat this, pain management doesn't treat this, is very, very absurd and very discriminatory against people who are dealing with chronic health issues. Um, and then now we're being labeled as addicts, and now we're being targeted by the DEA and being targeted by the medical system for something we can't control. It's a genetic condition. It's not brought on by anything else but our own genes. And it's so hard to even get a diagnosis for that now because, even to see a geneticist here in my state, I had to pay for out of pocket to get my genetic testing done. And there was no geneticist in my state to test me. They only test for cancer. So pain management only treats cancer now in my town. So advocate for yourself. Don't give up. Okay? Advocate for yourself.